I've got 2 minutes.
It's hot in here again, just saying. I think I'm red already.
I know. I lost my towel.
It's right there on my map.
It is too.
Okay, let's get started on our backs.
Oh, good. I'm already on my back.
Careful with the camera.
I know. I already flew through the blanket.
I don't know.
No, I'm good. I know where it is. I'm not a child. I'm good. I won't burn the studio down.
Right, let's get started on our back. So coming on to your back, we're going to take some wiggles, landing on your back. Try and find the natural curve of your neck, not over flattening your neck to the ground. And your feet can be long on the ground or feet down, knees up. If this is softer on your lower back, try and let the natural curve of your lower back remain. Try not to overly press the lower back to the ground. Let the hips land on the ground and everything else soften. And start to really tune in to this present moment. Letting go of as much of the to-do list as possible. Letting as much as you can be outside the door of your space right now. Giving yourself permission to take a break. About 75 minutes. And everything you need to do, everything that's to come will be there when we're done. Just let it go. Take a break. Start to allow the torso to become more and more soft so their breath can land more fully in the body. And we're going to explore a gentle pause breath. So just starting to bring your awareness to your breath. Perhaps noticing that your exhale is a little bit longer than your inhale. And notice if there are just any natural pauses in your breath already. And try to focus on your breath without muscular force in the torso, just watching your breath rise and fall. And then we're going to think about the whole of the lungs and try to bring the breath nice and slow all the way in slowly to the bottom of our lungs and then all the way out, starting from the bottom, squeezing and letting all of the air come out. Squeezing with our intention, not muscular force, but with our intention, really giving our lungs a good clean movement. And then experiment with adding your gentle pauses. So we're going to add a gentle pause after we breathe all the way in and then after we breathe all the way out. So two gentle pauses. And again, very gentle, not enough to induce fear. We're not competing with anyone for longest pause. We're just breathing in, pausing, breathing out, pausing. And if it helps you to stay focused on your breath, say to yourself, I'm breathing in, gentle pause, and I'm very slowly breathing out, gentle pause. And then completing a full cycle, allow your focus of your breath to soften away and return to your shoulders. Just notice if you brought any tension into your shoulders. Notice if you brought any tension in around your hips and your neck and your face. And then do a check in. Ask yourself, how am I? How am I emotionally? How am I physically? And how am I mentally? And allow space for the answers to be wherever they are without judgment. Checking in on yourself the way you would for a dear friend. It's perfectly okay for the answers to be cranky or tired. Not being okay is okay. And slowly bring in a knee at a time towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug, maybe rock it. And then if you have your chair handy, you're going to place your heels on your chair. If you don't, just take your feet up towards the ceiling. And we're just going to think about our feet for a moment. So opening your toes, spreading your toes wide, wide, wide. Spread your toes out. Then curl your toes under. Curl your feet tight. And then pull your toes back towards the shin. And then take some ankle circles, nice and slow. And if we're using the chair, this is like lazy man's version. You can take your feet up in the air if you want to start to get a little more active. You'd have to have a little more action in your stomach if you're taking your feet to the air. And then reverse the direction of your slow circles. And then bringing your feet either onto the ground, knees up, or your feet onto the chair. We're going to think about our sacrum. So allowing everything else to fall to the ground, really soft to the ground. We're going to pull our sacrum up towards the ceiling and then lower it down. So this isn't muscular. We're just rolling over our sacrum a little, noticing any tension here. Finding a little movement right at the tailbone. Remembering that nice slow breath. And then either leaving one foot, the left foot on the ground or on the chair. You're going to bring your right knee in towards the chest and then take it out in a big circle. If you like, you can keep your left hand on your left hip to try and keep that hip grounded. And just take a big circle with that right knee. Thinking about the hip. And then reverse the direction of the circle. So take it as slow as you can. Trying to feel all the points of the circle. And then switch sides. Left knee comes in towards the chest. And take a nice slow circle with the knee. And then back the other way. And then bring both heels to the ground. Maybe wiggle a little more on your mat to get enough room. We're going to go into rolling bridges. So make sure your shoulders are nice and solid on the ground. I like to bring robot arms, fingertips to the sky. And we're going to press into the heels, engage the stomach and the back. Inhale as we lift up. Exhale as we lower our hips. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower, trying to keep a soft neck throughout. If you'd like to make it a little more challenging, you're going to pull the toes towards the shins and then feel like you're trying to pull the heels towards the glutes. Starting to activate the back of the legs. Lower the hips and take the heels a little bit further away. And then same thing. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Changing it up just a little. Lower the hips, bring the knees in. Give yourself a little hug to reset. And then roll on over to a side and come on up to a seated position. Feel free to sit on the chair. Be here for just a little bit. So getting nice and tall in a seated position. Long in the spine. Bring your chin all the way down to the chest and connect with the back of the neck. Feel the tension here. Slowly bring the chin all the way up to the ceiling, connecting with the front of the neck. Chin back to neutral. Take the right ear to the right shoulder. And left ear to left shoulder. Back to center, plant the left hand and bring the right hand up and over. Opening up right side. Send your breath in between the ribs. And then all the way back over to the other side. Back through center and soft, slow shoulder circles. That was a lot of tripped over that. My tongue is not ready for that this morning. Bring your shoulders back behind you, squeeze them and hold them back. Lay your shoulder blades tight together. Lift your shoulder blades up higher.
My body works in the morning.
Bring your shoulder blades down. Pressing down, start to activate the arms.
This feels very hard. It's not that hard.
Stop quitting behind me. And then bring it down, take little soft up and down with the shoulders. And then facing the chair, bringing home to tabletop.
Oh no, okay.
So beginning to move and breathe first. So taking your tabletop, inhale, tabletop, exhale, sending the hips towards the feet. Start to find your breath, find your movement, maybe taking some side to sides, inhaling up and exhaling hips to one side. Find what feels good. Maybe you take your hands wide, maybe you bring them together. Change it up a little. Experiment and make this your own practice. And then bring it to tabletop. We're going to bring our hands to a triangle in front of us, index fingers and thumbs touching. We're going to squeeze our stomach towards the spine so stomach is active. Lean forward so chest and shoulders are active. Bend the elbow. Did you just hit your head? Maybe don't go so far forward that you're going to hit the chair.
Back up.
Okay, setting up, squeezing the belly. See, this is what live does. We're going to take little tiny bits. See, this is making you feel like you're in the studio with us.
I don't think I've ever done that in a class.
You've done some pretty crazy things in the class before. Little tiny movements. And then sending the hips backwards, we're going to set up on the chair. Bring the back of your elbows, not the elbow joint, back of the elbows onto the chair. Rest. And then find the position that feels comfortable for your lower back, your knees. And then sending your armpits a little bit more to the ground. So we're opening up on the back of the arms. Hands can be up, they can be at prayer, they can be behind your head. Breathe. Enjoy the stretchy breaks. And then bringing the upper body up, hands onto the chair. We're going to bring a right knee forward. So make sure that you're comfortable on the left knee. You can press down into the front of the left foot so that you have more pressure on the left foot and less on the knee. You can bring your hands onto the chair so you have more weight on the chair instead of the leg at all. We're going to bring this right foot forward and just start to move into the front hip flexor and then back into the back of the right leg. So moving forward nice and slow. And then nice and slow, sending the hips back, opening up the back of the right leg and the front of the left. You can move this back leg back further if you're starting to warm up and get a little more space. Inhale as you lean your hips forward. Exhale as you send your hips backwards. And then come forward so your hip flexor is opening on the left leg. Press down into the left foot. And then holding the chair, you're going to feel like you're pulling the left foot towards the right foot without letting it move. See how that changes the stretch? Actively pull this foot, maybe even lift up off the knee if you're feeling super strong. And lower the knee. Switch sides. Left foot forward, right leg back. And set up, inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the hips backwards, opening up back of left leg. And then land forward, left knee bent. Land the right foot really strong on the ground and then feel like you're pulling it forward towards the left foot without letting it move. Maybe even lifting up off the knee. Opening up the entire front of the right leg and the right hip. Maybe even feeling like you're tucking your pelvis a little. And then over the leg. Switch sides. Switch sides. Return the left knee towards the right. And holding onto the chair, we're going to go into a down dog with the chair. So stepping up onto our feet and then stepping backwards. Using the chair for a down dog today. So finding the position where your legs are comfortable, not locking the knees, and then start to find a little opening in the lower back. Bending the knees deeply, maybe a little more opening in the back. Feeling long from the crown of the head to the hip, crown of the head to the hips.
I have multiple. I don't know about you. For some reason you put a chair in it and my down dog gets worse.
All right, bending the knees. Inhale as you rise all the way up. Connect your prayer down to your heart. We're going to start to move and breathe. So inhaling all the way up, hands overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Taking a couple of rounds, nice and simple, connecting with familiar patterns. And then we'll start to make this more full body. So coming onto the balls of the feet as we rise. Exhale, lowering the hips. Little baby chair. Inhale up. Exhale down. Keep your focus in front of your hips. So bringing real strength in front of your hips helps keep you balanced. Try to find more muscles to engage in the legs. Maybe the arms are starting to engage, the core. Soften the lower back. Soften the face.
If you're thinking it's way too early to do it, or what is this crazy person doing? Right?
Soften the shoulders. And then see if you can come on up to the ball of your feet and lower the hips without lowering the heels. Pause here. Challenge your balance. See if you can feel like you're pulling your feet away from you. See if you can activate outside hips, outside legs. Pull your feet apart. Bring your hands out in front of you. We're going to slowly lower our hips. So legs active and strong. Feel like you're pulling your feet apart. Slowly lower your hips. Challenge yourself.
My hips.
Go down as low as you can without putting your hips on your heels. Active and strong. And then we're going to come all the way back up. So as slow as you can. Don't use momentum. And then lower the heels and tap it out. We're going to come into a warrior two, right leg open. Find your feet first. So find your grounding. Really feel like you're active and strong in the legs. That feeling like you're pulling the feet apart and pulling yourself up out of the mat. We're not just sinking into our joints. Our legs are nice and strong and active. Then find your arms. Open up into a warrior two. Get fairly strong in your base. We're going to take our left arm, so freezing the base, big slow circles with our left arm. So moving from the rib cage up. Nice slow breath. Hold a warrior two. We're going to inhale, flip the palms, draw the palms up to prayer, straighten your front leg. Exhale, open up. Inhale, up. Exhale, open. You can stay with this, or you can start to make it a little more challenging. Bring it all the way to reverse triangle. And then over to a warrior two. Reverse triangle, warrior two. Or reverse triangle, keeping arm up, left arm up, and then coming all the way over also with the torso, a little bit of a floating extended warrior. Warrior two, reverse warrior, all the way over, torso over, stomach strong. Inhale as you come up and over. Exhale as you come back, squeezing the core. And then back to warrior two. Settle in, find strength in this pose. Flip the palms. And then we're going to look at our chair. So we're coming over into half moon, and we're going to use the chair for balance. So you're going to bring your weight onto the right leg. Squeeze the core first. Find your chair. Look at your chair. You're going to bring your hand to your chair. So strong in this right leg, strong in the left leg. Finding your chair. Lift up left leg. Hold. If you want to challenge your balance, you're going to bring your fingertips up, but you want to have your shoulders and hips in line as if you're pressing them up against a wall. And we're going to move here. So if you're being fancy and trying to challenge your balance, go ahead, but we are going to move here, so you might want to have this balance. We are going to bring the right knee in towards the chest here. We are going to bring the right knee all the way back behind us. Right knee in. See, you're already challenging your balance. Right knee in. All the way back. Heel towards glute. Right knee in.
How do you do that? I have heavier legs.
And then bring your half moon pose. Now, staying in your half moon, look at your left heel maybe. Lift your left heel. Little pulses, slow and controlled to the ceiling. Small, little pulses. See where I'm pointing? That's about where it should be starting to burn. Find a little strength. Try not to lock that right knee. Try not to have lack of energy in that right leg. That leg should be strong also. Bring the heel towards the glute. Maybe you can catch the foot. If you catch the foot, press the foot into the hand. See if you can fire up the front of the left leg.
Took away my balance today.
Your grouchy self took away your balance. Let go of the foot without slingshotting it. Let it go with control. We're going to come out of this slow and with control. Bend the right leg. Slowly lift up and float the left leg down. Warrior two. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your feet. Heels out. Heels in, toes out. Tap your feet. Tap your feet out and notice left and right sides.
Wait. What? Oh my god. Shaking like my dog.
Keely is super on point today. All right, we're going to go over to the other side. We're just switching the chairs because we can't turn around. Whoa.
He gave me the wrong chair.
So we're coming to warrior two. I didn't even notice, but man, that looks so much better.
It was bothering me.
So in case anyone didn't know, my favorite colors are purple and red. I always like to mix them. So coming to warrior two on the other side.
I mean,
Setting. Yeah. If you've been to the studio, you know my colors are purple and red. Set up, find your grounding. Draw the feet apart, make them stronger. So this coming down, all the way down into some kind of visual prettiness that maybe you saw somewhere is not the goal. The goal is to find strength in the legs. So find that place where you can feel like the whole leg is active. Inner thigh is strong, outer thigh is strong, hips are strong, core, lower core is strong, back is soft. Find your warrior two. Get strong in your warrior two. Find your breath. And you're at home. I don't care where you're looking. I don't care where your face is. I care that your neck is nice and soft. You're not holding tension in your neck. Find softness in your face. And we're going to move and breathe in this. So flipping the palms, bringing your hands to prayer overhead with the inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, bring it down. Little movement, mindful of the legs. So we're not just flopping in this front leg. We're using muscles. That's how we protect the joints. We work through muscles. Inhaling up, exhaling open. Inhaling up, exhaling open. And not gripping the ground with our toes. Strong in the legs, strong in the feet. Staying perhaps with this movement, or if you like, inhale all the way over a reverse triangle, and exhale, open to warrior two. Or the next progression is inhale, reverse triangle with arms up, right arm up also. Exhale, over, floating to a side angle.
I think I'm leaving.
Or make it your own. That's cool too.
Both arms up is a little too challenging. I also like,
according to Kaylee, both arms up is too challenging, so one arm at a time is just fine. It does make it a little easier.
well, I also like to feel the muscles in my stomach, so I know it's not in my back, because I tend to cheat if I don't.
So Kaylee's giving you a good cue here. Finding your muscles. Sometimes when you want to bring your focus to your stomach, the best way to do that is to remind your muscles which ones you want to use by just touching them, finding the position you want to use so that you stop using your lower back.
My muscles are very lazy. They tend to push things.
And then bring it back to warrior two. Land, check in on your pose, check in on your base. Flip the palms. And then we're we're coming over to our chair into our half moon. So setting up, getting strong on the left leg, looking at your chair, squeezing the core, then pop up the right leg. So nice and strong in both legs. Nice and strong in the core. Right arm can be up on the hip if you want to challenge yourself. Maybe bring the right arm up. Really strong and long. So legs are long and strong. Core is long and strong. Make more space for all the vertebrae in your spine. And then bringing this right knee slowly forward. And then heel all the way around to the glute. Right knee forward. Heel to the glute. You want to have a little tiny bend in that left leg. Bring the heel all the way towards the glute. Maybe you can grab your foot with your hand. Press your foot into your hand. If you catch it, activate the front of the right thigh. Breathe.
Yeah, I was so close to not falling this time.
Still have a little more. Slowly release the foot. If you have it, don't slingshot it. Thinking about right here, top of that right hip. Look at the heel maybe so you remember to use the heel. Lift the heel nice and slow up to the ceiling. Little movements, strong movements, control. We're not flopping in space, Kaylee. No, I can't actually see you. I was just reminding you because that's what you're normally doing. Slowly
compensating myself.
So compensating too. Look for any places that seem to be doing work that are really not supposed to be coming to the party right now, especially the lower back. You're thinking about the hip. Right here on the outside, the right hip. And then we're going to slowly, with control, return to our warrior two. Look down at the ground, bend the left leg, slowly float back.
Oh, it's so hot.
Bring it to center, tap it out. Really tap it out. And if you're in a sauna like we are, wipe the sweat.
Oh, dang it. Which part?
What did you think?
This is the part so it doesn't hurt.
All right, you're gonna face your chair. I'm gonna turn it so you guys can see clearly. You're gonna face your chair. You're gonna bring right leg onto the chair. If you do not have a chair, just bring right heel onto the chair. You have the chair. Right heel goes onto the chair. Check in on the hips. Make the hips even, so don't curl that right hip up. Hips are even, heel is on the ground, and then pull the heel back towards you gently, opening up back of the right leg.
Jesus.
So chair classes are more difficult because the chair kind of prevents you from cheating.
Horrible.
Makes you isolate your muscles a little more. Try not to push the right knee down. Let it even be bent. Find the back of the right leg without compromising the knee and putting the knee in any strange position. Pull the heel towards you.
Bending it makes the stretch more intense.
I know. So pull that heel towards you. Pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it. And then we're going to take little tiny bends in this left leg. So you're pulling and opening the right leg. Takes little tiny half squats. Small, tiny, with control.
I'm moving the chair.
Bring it down. Tap it out. Notice left and right side. Other leg. So finding the left heel on the chair or on the ground. You're going to do this movement torso forward if you do not have a chair. Find your hips. So not throwing that left hip up, bringing the hips even. Bringing your torso up nice and long. And we're not going to bring our nose towards our foot. We're going to bring our foot back towards our torso. So nice and long in the spine. A little bit of strength in the lower core. Pull the heel towards you. Soft knee. And then with slow, gentle control, right knee bend, little tiny bit, small, tiny half squat. Notice if one side's easier than the other. Continuously trying to pull that heel, the left heel back towards you.
How are you doing this without moving your chair?
Because I'm pulling the strength into my leg. I'm not pushing into the chair. I'm pulling it into my leg. Bend your knee more. Yeah, see how it's like more in my leg, not on the chair. Let it go. Tap it out. And then just to see how it changed and how you feel, hands onto the chair and find your chair dog. So send your hips backwards.
Chair dog?
Huh?
Chair dog?
Yeah, it's chair dog. It's chair down dog. So find the position where you feel like you can open up your lower back. Breathe. Maybe things feel different. Maybe they don't. Maybe they feel better. Maybe they feel tired and angry. Maybe they feel warm.
I think you're describing me. Tired.
And slowly breathing in as you come on up with the torso. And we're going to do a little bit of core work. So taking your feet wide, going into a goddess.
Goddess is your legs, not your core.
That's right. Goddess is your legs, not your core. Come on, let's go.
Lied to me.
All right, so find your goddess. Make a wise choice about how low you come. There is no competition about how low you come. Push the heels away from each other. Open up the legs a little more. Get a little stronger in the lower core. Bring the hands out and get nice and strong and active. We're going to take the torso left and right. So push down, nice and slow. Squeeze core.
Everyone's what is
Nice and slow.
both legs and core. It's horrible.
Squeeze nice and slow. Left to right. And then bring it all the way right. Hold it right. Maybe left hand comes onto this whole area between the rib cage and the hip. Just to remind you, and take right hand behind knee and then front. Behind knee and then push front. Nice and slow and with control. All in the torso. Bring it back to center. Switch sides. Left hand comes behind you. Lean, push, and then forward. Push, and then forward. We're trying to use the core, not the back. So squeeze the core. Bring your hands here. Remind you. Use the core, not the back for this movement.
I think they need to be reminded. They're very angry.
Bring it back to center. Tap it out. Tap it out. Get wiggles in the muscles. That's what you're looking for. Get wiggles in the feet. Really tap. Get grounded. Let the muscles wiggle. And then inhale all the way up, swan diving down, touching the ground. Left foot back, right foot back, high plank. Breathe and hold.
So dirty. It's so much on here.
A little bit of arm work. So squeezing the core, feel free to lower the knees. We're going to come onto the right side, lift up left hand, over to the other side with control. So only take this as far as you feel strong, no wobbles. So if you're wobbly in the shoulders, lower the knees, make this smaller, and maybe even smaller, just tapping the hand to the shoulder rather than coming up so open. So inhale, open, exhale down, inhale, open. Strong core, strong shoulders. Maybe take your hands a little wider. Lower the knees and find yourself a child's pose. We did a lot of hip work. A lot of hip opening and strengthening. So we're going to do a somatic movement for releasing tension in the hips. Let go of all of your beliefs of what this movement might be and just try to have an experience. So we're going to find our way to down dog. Find a nice, slow, open, strong down dog. Catch your breath with your head below your hips. And then making sure that you're strong in the shoulders. You're going to bend your knees. You're going to keep your core a little active, and then you're going to pump your heels towards the ground, letting everything from the hips down shake. So down dog shaking, letting your heels pump towards the ground, letting everything you can possibly let go from the hips to the heels. Loosening and shaking, letting go. And if you feel silly, that's good too. Smile, laugh at yourself. Maybe some other emotions come up. Let them come, let them be experienced, and let them pass. And then slowly lower the knees and return to a child's. And we're going to come on up and go to a camel pose. So coming on up to your knees, if you need something underneath your knees, go ahead and place something underneath your knees. You're going to bring your hands to your lower back for support, so fingertips down to your lower back. And this pose is not about dropping the skull back. It's about pushing the hips forward, activating the hip flexors, and then letting the shoulders come back. So starting to push the hips forward first. Push, 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 push. Active in the legs. So press the front of the feet down into the ground also. And then slowly send the shoulders backwards, defying gravity. Breathe and hold. You're squeezing the glutes, but not more than you're using the hip flexors. So if your lower back is tightening up, try loosening your glutes just a little. And use the hip flexors a little more. Slowly using the hip flexors, bring the hips back to neutral, shoulders back to neutral. And bring one hand on top of the other. In front of your laps, thumbs touch. Find your breath. Look down at your hands and notice which one is on top. Take note, and then come on back up to the knees. Set up, push the hips forward. Slowly draw the shoulders backwards. Try to keep the tension out of the neck.
Shoulder, that was weird.
Slowly using the hip flexors, bring the hips back to neutral, shoulders back to neutral. Lower the hips. Place the other hand on top, thumbs touch, and close the eyes, reset. Notice which way your hands felt better. And then come on all the way back up. Last time. Set up, press your hips forward, draw your shoulders backwards, open up.
I didn't do the first step.
Slowly bring the hips back to neutral. Lower the hips and place whichever hand feels better. Maybe there is no preference. That's fine too. And bring your thumbs to touch. And then we're going to swing over to a hip. Swing the legs out. And make your way on down to your back. All the hard work is done. Huh?
It's a very good job. Patted myself on the back.
Bring your knees in towards your chest. Take a little rock side to side. Bring your hands onto your thighs. Press your thighs into your hands and your hands into your thighs. See if you can get your really to the lower inner core to fire up.
No. You said your back. This is
Press really hard. Thighs against hands, hands against thighs. And then let go. See if you can get it to loosen and soften. Take right knee over left. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Up, heels come to opposite shoulders. Looking for piriformis, right side. Breathe. Imagine a softening in this space around the hips. Maybe even a softening spreading into the lower back. Softening across the face, across the neck, letting go, all the work is done. Slowly unravel and switch sides, left over right, heels to opposite shoulders. Slowly unravel, take the feet long, legs long, arms up overhead. Stretch from the fingertips to the toes.
Slide the feet all the way over to the right. If you like, you can maybe even place this left heel over the right leg. And then slide the shoulders and the arms over to the right. Big banana shape on the ground, opening up left side body. Slowly slide the feet over to the left, maybe even placing the right heel on top of the left leg. And then slide the arms and shoulders over to the left torso, opening up right side body. Bring it back to center, maybe using your chair to set up for your final resting pose. As you're getting into this pose, starting to notice what feels different. I'm going to help Kaylee set up as I talk you through. So Kaylee likes to use something underneath her back. Remembering the goal of restorative poses is to be as comfortable as possible. So comfort is the goal. So this position of bringing the feet up on the chair allows the lower back and the hips to really soften into the ground. It also gives a little bit of raise to your feet. So your feet are a little bit above your heart. It's a little bit easier for the blood to pump back. But probably most importantly is it helps with that fight or flight, because it helps take the tension out of that fight or flight area. So fight or flight, when we're ready to get up and run from trouble, all of the muscles that are ready to get us to get up and go are the muscles that are in this lower back and across the front of the hips area. The muscles that are ready to get you to move fast. So we can hold a lot of tension in this space. And taking a moment to really find your hips on the ground. Notice if you're doing anything unusual with your lower back, maybe you're pushing it to the ground. Sometimes when we find this position on the ground, we feel like we have to push our back down, and that takes the natural curves out of it. So trying to let your hips soften and your lower back soften. Really focusing in from the thighs to the rib cage, softening. Bringing awareness to the soles of the feet. Bring a little softness into the soles of the feet. Imagine that somebody could warm their hands and then place them on the soles of your feet. And the warmth of their hands could slowly soften all of the tension in the soles of your feet. As if the warmth of the hands were slowly undoing the tension of every step you ever took. Leaving you with little soft, squishy baby feet. And then imagine you could draw this softness into the ankles. And thinking about the bones in the lower legs, See if you can send your awareness in little circles around the bones, softening all the tension in the muscles, the tissues, the skin, and the lower legs. And bring softness to the knees, over the kneecaps, under the kneecaps, the skin behind the knees. And then thinking about the bones in your thighs, imagine you could soften by taking your awareness in circles around the bones, slowly up towards the hips, softening any tension in any muscle, any tissues, and even the skin. And then land in the joint of the hip on either side. And imagine you could place little fluffy clouds of softness right in the joint. And then slowly begin to allow that softness to spread across the stomach, across the front of the hips, and then slowly up the torso, making space for all of your organs, making space for your breath to land more fully. Bringing softness to either rib cage. Bringing softness into the armpits. Soften your shoulder blades more heavily into the ground. Allow your arms to soften and land heavily on the ground. And then that same circling awareness down the bones of your upper arms, into the elbow, down the forearm, softening the skin, the muscles, everything soft, very, very soft and loose. And land in the wrist, so many tiny bones in the wrists. Imagine you could fill your wrists with little soft, fluffy clouds. And allow these soft, fluffy clouds to land in the palms of your hands and soften your fingers. Bring your awareness to the tip of your chin. And then bring softness all the way along the lower jaw to the ears, over the upper jaw, softening the cheeks, landing on the upper lip, soften here. Soften around the inside corners of the eyes, outside corners. Land in the center of the forehead and slowly soften towards the temples. And then land in the center of the mind, allowing space for whatever is present to be present here. As if you could land in the very center of your brain and watch its constantly firing network of neurons. Can you begin to see the thoughts and distractions as just random firings of the brain? becoming less and less entangled with the waves of our thoughts, stepping a little below and just watching them go, allowing them to be. Noticing that you can notice your thoughts, and then perhaps noticing a little space between the thoughts. And before we go too deeply in, I'm going to read from Prayers of Honoring Voice by Pixie Lighthorse. I read from her a lot in the studio. And her prayers I've been reading a lot for myself at this moment, so hopefully they can be as powerful for you. Honoring respect. Thank you for this day of reverent growth. I am seeking new ways to respect myself, you, the earth, and my dear ones. I am asking for help to know what I value and to treat it right. I am asking for solid support in building my vocabulary and increasing my range to address all that I cherish. As I take inventory of those I deeply admire, teach me to see myself as worthy of high regard. Drive me to notice where I can develop keen listening and speak to my people with great care and consideration. Help me speak with sacredness on my mind when I don't agree with what is being said. Turn up my ability for high frequency communication and awareness to the level I would most love to receive when I am in the same position. Coat my throat in the language of conserving and protecting what is truly precious. Do not discover me traveling well-worn paths of resentment. Cultivate me in a terminology of sticking to the point and helping me to see verbal violations as utterly dysfunctional. Help me receive the sentiment behind the words because few will be able to say it like I want to hear it. Build me in tolerance for those I adore to tap into the sweetness they attempt to convey. Protect them from my haphazard accusations of crimes they didn't commit. Help me to remember why I love them and why we are in relationship. Reform our bonds and raise my level of integrity. Remind me to offer confidentiality when called for and to hold the intimacies of my beloveds with trust. I love this world and all natural things in it. Let me see myself and those close to me as part of an immense organic beauty. Lead me in the ways of persevering and protecting what I value. Concern me less with the stories holding me accountable. Let respect inform my actions. Help me to acknowledge where I can pay more tribute. Warm my heart with a flame of reverence and gratitude for all living things. Establish me in the depth of recognition for all which needs my support. I am able and willing to give it. Sock it to me. Taking the time, perhaps, to imagine filling yourself with respect for yourself. We can only give out what we learn to give to ourselves. And the faults that we see in others are most often the faults we fear most in ourselves. So imagine for a few moments lying here and drawing in a little respect. Feeling your physical body, your mind, your energetic body, your mental body, and your heart with respect. And gently returning to the sound of my voice. And from this place of deep respect for ourselves, we're going to go into a practice of sending out a little loving kindness to anyone that we think might need it right now. You can choose someone that you feel is just suffering and needs it, someone that you feel tender towards, or if you would like to challenge yourself, you're going to pick someone that you find a little difficult. And focusing in on your heart space, your heart center. Imagine opening up and sending warm, loving, kind energy to this person. See them clearly in your mind's eye, as if they were standing in front of you right now. And from your heart center, imagine repeating these words to this person. May you be happy. May you be healthy and strong. May you live with ease. See this person receiving a little loving kindness. Perhaps see their body language change, maybe their face soften. And then try to bring a soft smile to your face, still focusing in on your heart center. And imagine receiving these words as I send them out to you. May you be happy. May you be healthy and strong. May you live with ease. Bringing one knee in at a time. Slowly make your way over to a fetal position on whichever side is calling to you, curling up in a tiny little supported ball. And connecting with the fetal position, beginning pose. Pose that reminds us of a time in the womb when all of our needs were met. We had not judged ourselves as negative or positive. We were simply a spark of life. We come to this pose to remind ourselves that that spark of life exists within us, unchanged by our experiences, waiting patiently for us to connect within and recognize ourselves. We're coming right up on 75 minutes. If you need to take a little more time in this position, feel free to switch us off and take a little more time. Do try to come to a seated position with your hands at prayer to finish up. Finishing with a little ritual and connecting with this gesture of bringing our left and right sides to meet in front of our hearts, as if accepting ourselves as whole and complete exactly as we are. May we all know love, light, and connection. Thanks so much for joining us.